Joining me now, Alex Epstein, Center for Industrial Progress, founder and CEO, author of The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. A couple of points that Jeff makes there that are really important, because I remember not so long ago, a president who came into office rolled back regulations, fast-tracked pipelines, and he got oil prices to under $50 a barrel. Then I remember President Joe Biden coming into office and essentially undoing all of that and blaming COVID for what we're seeing, as prices at the pump rise, right? It's all because of COVID. So your reaction to all of this and the struggle that these businesses and refineries are facing?
Yeah, I mean, my reaction to all of this is, imagine that we had a free oil and gas and coal industry that could actually produce when needed, that could transport when needed. That's precisely what we don't have in the U.S. anymore, and what the world doesn't have. Even China, you can see they're having all these crazy problems because they've been following all these international green dictates that are saying, hey, use less CO2, use less coal. So this is afflicting the entire world. And what people are finding out is, hey, after this pandemic lockdown, people need energy. And by far the most cost-effective energy for most people is fossil fuels. But Biden ran on, I will end fossil fuel. He ran on, I am going to throw executives of fossil fuel companies in jail. So is it any surprise that the world and the U.S.'s capability of producing oil and gas when we need it is diminished? It shouldn't be surprising at all.
No, I mean, it's not a surprise to me, but I'm a student of the energy industry. I've been following this a long time, and it's not just the issue with ethanol that we discussed. For example, transitioning to solar panels, windmills, it's all wonderful conceptually, but it doesn't always work. We saw that in Texas when the windmills froze and we didn't have the grids in good enough shape to get power to people who really needed it. So what the president doesn't understand here, I think, is that, yeah, you might want to do this in 25 or 30 years. Work on the initiative, okay. But for right now, you need these resources. Oh, and by the way, we have the resources, but you won't let us pump. You want OPEC to do it.
Yeah, but you said something like, oh, it's kind of a good conceptual idea. And what we want in an economy is precisely not for random people to have the power to dictate their, quote, good conceptual ideas. I mean, imagine nobody would hire Joe Biden to run any energy company, but we're hiring him to dictate every energy company. I mean, that's what so-called central planning means. Even if the people are really smart, it doesn't work. So what we need truly competitive markets where the most cost-effective forms of energy can compete and where they can emerge. Mm-hmm. In terms of people being concerned about CO2 emissions, why don't we liberate nuclear? Why do we have this random preference for unreliable solar and wind? And if you look at Texas and other places, nuclear gets shut down everywhere because we have these arbitrary preferences for solar and wind. So the whole thing is just based on these arbitrary green preferences and not actually value cost-effective energy.
Real quick here, Alex, I just want to get to the fact that, yes, we know what's happening at the pump. We're feeling that right now. Prices are up more than 40% year over year, but the cold weather's coming. So you're going to have heating oil issues now, too, and those costs are going to rise. Natural gas prices are going to rise. How do you expect consumers to be hit this winter? I mean, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate compared to Europe, but it's going to be really bad, again, because our government doesn't value fossil fuel, transporting it, producing it, and there's a global market. And so people are going to suffer, but that suffering needs to be directed toward asking for political change, particularly change in energy policy.
All right. Alex Epstein, great to see you tonight. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
Okay.